Hi, I'm Tom Tony, founder of Quest Rocket, and in this video, I want to walk you through how to help your student complete their maps that are a part of the Maps navigational resource. Now, I have another video where we talk about this total piece, this module, this part of the Quest Rocket package, but in this one in particular, I want to talk about how to help your student complete their maps. Probably the biggest part of this process is helping them to get clear about the things they need to fill in these blanks. So I want to talk about each of those pieces individually. To do that, I'm going to cut away to a shot of just the map. I'll talk about just the map so you won't see me on screen, but you'll hear my voice talking about each of these pieces, and then I'll come back and wrap things up after that. So we've designed our Quest navigational maps to basically mimic a kind of map we would use to, say, go on vacation. So we have destination, course, and so on, all the same type of terminology. So for example, we begin every map with a destination. Where would you like for your rocket to land? Describe your goal for growing in humility. And so the first thing that we do is we talk about the topic. We find out from our student, what is it that you would like to grow in? So for example, how to be more kind. Now we're talking about humility here. So there are a lot of different ways that we can follow this. We get this response a lot from parents that they're really excited about the topic of humility because they say, oh man, my child really needs to grow in humility. And so, for example, this can be anything. This is just an example, how to be more kind. Maybe for you, it's how to respond better to authority, how to say yes to mom and dad in a quicker fashion. So whatever that topic is going to be, the key is that you allow the student to come up with that answer. In this way, you're going to have to just basically do some coaching, asking a lot of questions. What is it you feel like you need to grow in? How would that impact you? And so on. And so let them arrive at the topic because that's going to make a huge difference in how closely they follow their map. The next piece then is that we get them to describe their destination. So in this particular case, we want them to get very clear about what it looks like when they have grown in the area they described in the topic. So how will you know you've arrived? It's no different than if we take a trip to the store. How do we know we got to the store? Well, we're in the parking lot, we see the store, and we get to go inside. So get them to be very specific about what the destination looks like. In our example, we might say, I want to learn how to be more kind to my friends, to share better, and to say things that make my friends feel good about themselves. You want your kids to be as detailed as possible of what that destination looks like. I'm going to describe that right in here. If you need more paper, take more paper, but get clear. And here's why you need to get clear. Because in the next session down here, we're going to set our course. So we're going to ask ourselves, what are the things you need to do every week? Now, so weekly check-in is how this is set up. Every week in order to grow so that you can reach your goal for this topic. For example, every week, I will choose a friend to help and give my best to do what they need done. And then we talk about please listen to no more 3. I'll talk about that in a second. So here in these boxes, we're going to write down the action steps, the things that they are actually going to do to achieve this goal. And again, it's important that you let this come from them. These need to be actions that they come up with, not things that you set for them, but things they set for themselves. That's the whole point of this resource, is to teach them self-navigation. So here in this box, they're going to write in their action step and going to get very specific. So we don't want things like, I'm going to do better in here. That's not a goal. A goal typically would have X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go from X to Y by Z with an end date. And these action steps would talk about exactly how I'm going to get there. So if their goal was, for example, to be more kind, as they've said here, and to learn to listen to their friends and to share better, then here, as we said in the example, they're going to want to say, every week I am going to share one of my resources with a friend. So it's a very specific action item. Then the next thing they're going to do before we actually begin evaluating is they're going to begin by measuring where they are today. So you're going to write here in today's date, the date that you start using this tool. And in this circle, you're going to write a number on a scale from 1 to 10. Now, these instructions are here in the manual. On a scale from between 1 and 10, rate yourself compared to the goal you have set. 1 equals not close, 10 equals goal accomplished. Write the date you put down the score. So here on a scale from 1 to 10, they're going to measure themselves. On a 1 to 10, how kind am I? On a scale from 1 to 10. Again, you're going to pull this out of them. They're going to ask you, well, what do you think? And you're going to say, what do you think? Well, I don't know. What do you think? And then you're going to begin to ask them questions to help them discover how they think. Well, do you believe that you're kind with your friends? Sometimes, sometimes not. So if you are sometimes, but sometimes you're not, what would that be? Would that be 100%? No, it'd be 50%, half the time, right? So what would that be on a scale from 1 to 10? That would be a 5. Okay, let's begin by writing a 5 here. So again, you're walking them through the process of discovering where they are. So the number they put here is their number, not your number. That is so critical to this tool actually working. So they're going to write in here a 5. I want to be a 5. Immediately they're going to know I can get better. Well, now we know how they're going to get better. This is the step they believe will move them from a 5 to a 6. And so from that point forward, and they have no more than 3 action items. No more than 3. Very important. No more than 3. No less than 1, obviously, but no more than 3. 3 is too much. Or more than 3, I should say. I'm sorry, is too much. So let's focus on 3 or less. And so with the 5 now in place and the date now in place and our action item in place, and we're clear about our goal, what the destination is going to look like, and overall what we're trying to accomplish, we now have a very clear set pattern for exactly what we're going to do on a weekly basis to achieve that goal. So now all these things have been set. So now with the action item in place and knowing what goal we want to achieve, we now come to the end of the first week where they should have been actually doing this action item. And here they're simply going to color in the circle if they did that action item. And that's true for each one of the action items. So if they did do those things, they circle in the circle. They color in the circle. If they did not, they leave the circle blank. They're going to repeat this same process over 18 weeks or 18 cycles, depending on how you're using this resource. For 18 cycles of doing that action, they're going to measure themselves. So they're going to color in if they did it. They're going to leave a blank if they did not. True for every action. Then at the end of this 18 cycle, we have another measurement process. So now we're asking ourselves the question, now, after having done these things for 18 cycles, where am I on a scale from 1 to 10? Have I improved? Have I stayed the same? Have I gotten worse? And we write the number in here. We would expect to see that if each one of these circles is colored in, we went from a 5 to maybe a 6 or a 7. And they write in the adjustment, the date that they measured that adjustment. But again, we're asking them the same question. How are you doing? Do you feel like you've gotten better? Why do you think you've gotten better? Not just a yeah, so they get to bump the number, but yeah, and here's why. And then they agree, yeah, I think I can write a different number in there now. So they do so. The next step then that they do right in that moment is that we ask them the question, okay, so what adjustments do you feel you need to make for the next cycle of 18 from 19 to 36? What adjustments do you need to make? Are there things you need to do differently in this action item? What did you learn and what adjustments are you going to make? Really important that we don't let them make adjustments anywhere in this process. We have to wait until here because we have to give the process a chance to work. We want to teach them endurance. We want to teach them patience. So we make our adjustments here. They write in the adjustments, and now this becomes the new action item. This becomes the new measurement. So now, as they're coloring in these circles or not coloring in these circles, it's against this particular action. This one, modified. And this is what we're going after, the modification. So they're going to circle in if they did it for the next 18 cycles. And at the end of that cycle, we're going to do our final measurement. Okay, now we've had 36 cycles, weeks, days, whatever it looks like for you, to actually follow these action steps, each one of these action steps. Has it made a difference? And we're going to ask ourselves the question now, how are you in terms of kindness or whatever it was the goal that you set for that particular piece? I'm talking back to your mom and dad or listening and obeying the first time. And we're going to measure scale from 1 to 10. Same question, how are you doing? Why? Why do you say that? They're going to arrive at a number. Hopefully that number has gone up. So let's say now it's an 8. We've gone from a 5 to an 8, and we're going to write in the date. Now, here's one of the most important parts of this system. Once this measurement is done, what we want to do is we want to reflect on the dots. We want them to directly connect the actions that they took and the things that they did on a consistent basis to the progress that they're seeing. We've got to make that connection because we have to help them see, wow, if I'll just do the things I know I need to do, I'll get where I want to go. The same is also true in reverse, that if this number has stayed the same, or let's say that it's gotten worse, we should see that reflected in a lot of empty circles. They're not doing the things they know they need to do. That's what we want them to see. That your success or your non-success rises and falls on your discipline to do the things you know you need to do. We want them to get that. That's what it looks like to self-navigate. That's how the maps work. That's the conversations that they start. It should create a clear picture for them of exactly how they're doing in the goals that they are setting. Okay, well, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that's going to give you some clear direction on how to walk your student through filling out each of their maps, all 5 of the maps, and then tracking their progress throughout the year. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. We'll do our best to answer every question that you have. Thanks for being a part of the Quest family. And for Quest Rocket, I'm Tom Toney.